Greg Peterson on the line from Rivals Husker Online, talking Nebraska football. Scott Frost and company had his news conference on Monday, crank things up on Tuesday, get back on the practice field for spring drills, trying to correct 3-5 from last season, finished up with a win against Rutgers. Greg, I got to say, I started throwing defensive players at you before we started to record, thinking some of these guys had to be gone, because I don't know if it was because I've watched every game the last 2 seasons, but they seem so familiar. I thought these guys have been around a while, so one of them's got to be gone. I throw it at JoJo Doman and Will Honus and Deontay Williams. A lot of guys, Markel DeSmuke, guys that have been making plays. They're really good players, and just about everybody's coming back.
Yeah, like I think I surprised you when I said, 9 out of their 11 starters are all coming back. You only lose, cornerback to Gabriel Boodle and linebacker Colin Miller, who medically retired from football. So, the big news was getting Ben Stilley to come back again for another senior season. On that defensive line, you've already got you got 4 guys already cemented in there. All guys that have played a lot of football, starting with Ben Stilley, like I mentioned, he's going to be that leader of that defensive group. And then Damon Daniels, he's played a lot of snaps, and he's going to be counted on this year to be that big run plugger, that big run stuffer inside. And then you got the younger guys, sophomore Casey Rogers, who, showed that he can play some football last year. And then freshman Ty Robinson, who, redshirt freshman Ty Robinson, who was a big-time get for Nebraska, recruiting him out of Arizona. So those 4 guys, they're cemented in there already. And then, backed up by, Deontre Thomas, who's played a lot of football here as well at Nebraska. And then you got a new guy coming in that you like to see what he can do and hope that he makes an impact in Jordan Riley, who's a big-time JUCO defensive end. So you're looking at him to make some noise. And then a couple other guys that are solid backups, Mosai Newsom, and then you got an incoming freshman in Nash Hutchmeyer. And this kid's a nasty, nasty kid. I can't wait to see him mix it up here coming up here this spring.
Talking Nebraska across the defensive line, basically the first 4 players that Greg mentioned there, when you're talking Robinson and Daniels and Rogers as well, they all had, considering only an 8-game season, Stilley involved in that as well, all had 3 to 4 tackles per loss, and we're in that 20-25 tackle range. So decent stats for defensive linemen, although the defensive stats, especially up front, don't mean a whole lot, but all got into the backfield multiple times. When we look at the linebackers, JoJo Doman, obviously, he's the guy. 58 stops last year, 6.5 tackles for loss, and beyond the numbers, just watching that guy play is fun.
Yeah, and if there's an inspirational leader, he's definitely it. He was one of those other guys that everybody was just hoping that he was going to come back, and he did. And him and Ben Stilley are going to be those 2 vocal guys that, everybody's going to hear from. And JoJo, he's a very talented guy, and, playing outside linebacker. And at that outside linebacker spot, so joining another guy, Garrett Nelson, who, everybody knows his motor is second to none. Another guy, Caleb Tanner, he's going to be expected to make a lot of plays, and he already has. He's looked good. He's played a lot of football already. And then Damon Jackson, another guy, a tough guy, an ex-Army guy. He looked like he was fitting into the linebacker spot after he moved over from the D-line. And then Phildarius Payne is another guy. He's a new incoming a JUCO guy, and he's going to add some depth there at the outside linebacker position. And then inside linebacker, you lost Colin Miller, like I mentioned earlier, but you got Will Honus back, you got Luke Reimer back, you got Nick Henrich back. All guys that are expected to really, really be excellent linebackers here at Nebraska. Will Honus, being that veteran, and the two younger guys. And you've got another guy that we're interested to see what he can do. And Chris Kovalchek, he's a transfer from Northern Iowa, and he was a heck of a player at Northern Iowa. So he adds some more depth and some experience there. And there's a wild card out there, Javen Wright, who was a safety who kind of moved over to linebacker last year. He's a Nebraska legacy. And unfortunately, he got hurt last year, and that was unfortunate what happened to him. But he's expected. The coaches love him, and he's going to be a factor here moving forward the next 3 years at Nebraska. So yeah, you got a lot of good-looking linebackers, and a lot of things to look forward to out of that group of guys.
As you mentioned, Kovalchek played a ton of football at Northern Iowa, had 144 tackles. So
he was
the difference in competition is going to be something to deal with. But obviously, at Northern Iowa, you play a couple big time opponents every year, so it's not going to be anything he's not seen before. And again, considering the 8-game schedule versus usually playing 12 or 13 with the bowl game, Will Honus still had 57 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks. So he was all over the place as well. Yep. All right, corners and safeties. How do we stand there? Boodle's gone, as you mentioned. Otherwise, you're in good shape.
Yeah, and that's the one question mark is who replaces DiCaprio Boodle. Because the other side, you got that lockdown with Cam Taylor-Britt, and you can't forget him. You got to throw him in there with Dobin and Stille being the leader, and he might be the most vocal out of all of them. And he's a darn good football player. So who's going to be that other corner? And that's there's a good battle going to be going on there. You got Nadab Joseph, you got Quentin Newsom, Braxton Clark, and incoming freshman Marcus Buford. Joseph's another transfer, and we're going to see what he can do here coming up this spring. And that, like I said, right now, that's going to be a big time battle. And the two guys that we know that we've seen would be Quentin Newsom and Braxton Clark. So I think we're in good hands there. Whoever wins that battle, and that's going to be a pretty good position there with some decent depth as we need it. And you look at safety, and you're looking really good at safety when you bring back Markel Dismuke and Deontay Williams. For what is this, the 6th or 7th year they've both been at Nebraska, something like that. No, I'm joking, but those guys. They know they can play some football. They know what Nebraska football is all about, and they're gonna lock down that secondary. And backing them up, Miles Farmer, another younger guy that very talented, and waiting in the wings to take over. And then Noah Pola Gates, same story, another highly talented freshman, redshirt freshman who people are waiting to see, get a chance out there as well. And then another local kid there, Isaac Gifford. So you got a lot of good looking talent there as well. And, very deep at every position and across the board. I think this is the deepest that we've seen Nebraska under Coach Frost. So, looking good, and definitely looks like a team that's going to win more than 3 games, even here at the end of March.
Talking Nebraska football with Greg Peterson from Husker Online on Rivals. So check out his work and the rest of the staff there. Again, Rivals is the brand you all know. Check it out on Husker Online. Check out our new website, voiceofcollegefootball.com. You get a free mask. You can get a Nebraska mask. We got about 35 teams right there. So Nebraska is included right there at voiceofcollegefootball.com. You can register for free. You put your entry in for a $25 gift card as well, and 20% off your first purchase, even though you don't have to buy anything. I'm looking at 24 kick returns between punt returns and kickoff returns, and it seems like just about everybody is guys that you've already mentioned. So they should be okay in the return game. These guys are experienced. Ramir Johnson returned kicks last year. Alante Brown, Cam Taylor-Britt. So they seem to have that covered. Kicking was a near disaster 2 years ago because of injuries partially and also because of poor play. But Connor Culp hit 13 of 15 last year.
Yeah, you saw finally, some consistency there with their place kicker, which helps a lot. Nebraska had struggled there since Drew Brown graduated. Not much been there. So, things are looking up there. Mike Dawson being named, special teams, the head of special teams, and that's an area across the board that Nebraska has really, really struggled at since. Oh boy, Bo Pelini was the head coach. Was the last time that special teams were good here at Nebraska, and a big part of those three phases of the game that are very important to win. So that's the one spot there that Nebraska really, really needs to buckle down. Both in the return game and, just stopping. I mean, it's been a nightmare. So Nebraska fans know exactly what I'm talking about, and hopefully things get much better and they win more ball games because of it.
Greg, I'm fascinated with these old school strength and conditioning tests that are coming back. So we've got a 40-yard dash, we got a 10-yard dash, we got agility runs, vertical jumps, squats, we got hang cleans, and a lot of this scoring and testing is going to be made available to the public to know how these guys rated.
Yeah, it's called competition. It lights a fire under you. Back in the old days, Nebraska was known as, the strength and conditioning program that everybody tried to model theirs after. Boyd Epley was the founder of that. That's what made those Nebraska teams in the 70s and the 80s and in the 90s the powerhouses that they were. I mean, they were so strong and so well conditioned that they just wore the other teams out, in the fourth quarter. And that's what Nebraska needs to get back to. Coach Frost was a part of that when he was in college, and they know the importance of that. And they've opened up their arms. They've reached out to all the former players. Anybody that's in the area or stopping by there, welcome to come in and give their input to help out, push these guys in their workouts and show them, how it's done, how those old school Huskers got things done and, produce national championship teams.
No doubt about that. Greg Peterson, Husker Online, Rivals, breaking down the Huskers. And do we know when the spring game is?
May 1st.
May 1st in the spring game, and March 30th, the start for spring camp. And in addition to that, good news for you in regards to being able to get back on the practice field, get video of this team, get up close and personal, and be able to get back involved. Yeah,
it's starting Wednesday. We are allowed back. Post-practice interviews will be in person again. I know they haven't given out all the details. Things will definitely be a little more limited in what they used to be. But at least it's going to be nice to get back out there and see people's faces, even though they're wearing masks. But to see some of your colleagues that you haven't seen in a year pretty much since everything's been done via Zoom. And well, actually not this week, but starting next week, we get a chance to get in there and watch a little bit of practice and be able to see with our own eyes what's going on. Albeit it'll be from the balcony overlooking it. You're not allowed on the field, but hey, we'll take what we can get, especially since we didn't get this last year, for a whole year.
Yeah, after what everyone endured last year and continues to a certain extent, it's just taking those baby steps, getting back involved and getting closer to the team is a good thing for everyone who loves college football. Good stuff, Greg. Always appreciate the insight, sir.
No problem. Happy to do it.